no experience, an unknown budget, and less than 45 days to make it happen. Today we're going to talk about my experience rebuilding a cafe in Alaska, where I've been all this time, and how it all came into fruition. Hi everybody, my name is Nicolette Electra. It's been a minute since we've been on this channel, but I'm happy to be back. Over the past 2 years, I have really been doing some self-searching, I would say, and incorporating new projects that I didn't expect to ever really accept. And one of those projects that I accepted was rebuilding a cafe in Alaska. In my time in Alaska, I made this cafe go from completely drab to fab. We took it from having little sales to huge sales. Sales that I don't think anyone really anticipated, and this is how we were able to put it all together. So how did I find this cafe in Alaska? Well, first things first, it was really an accident. I had a family member that was up in Alaska working a gig, and I went to go visit this family member. Once I got there, I was shown a space that was next to their space that had been operational just for a couple weeks to a couple months and closed down due to a lack of employees and a lack of business coming in. This particular company had multiple restaurants in the area and multiple businesses, so seeing that the sales weren't equating, it was one of those things that they just decided, hey, we're gonna shut it down and revisit at a different time. So when I visited it, I saw it, it was closed, it was dark, it was dreary, and I said, this seems kind of interesting. And so from there, I ended up reaching out to the owner and basically saying, hey, I'm down to kind of rebuild it, reset it up, and create something cool with it. Fortunately, he agreed and said, yes, please come help. I'm down to have you as an employee, as a manager, and basically a revamper, so come on down. And that's exactly what I did. I got there in 2024, and as soon as I walked in, I was really greeted with a glamorized storage unit. They had boxes everywhere, there was dust and everything. All of the refrigerators had TMI, had mold from being turned off and just closed down. They had a bunch of product in there as well that just was never cleaned out, which was really unfortunate. But my biggest thing wasn't really the coolers, though some of those were kind of nasty. My biggest thing was trying to organize this place to make it look good, especially given that it had so many things trapped inside. Not only boxes that would be used for my future business, but also for their neighboring companies that were all associated there. So it was a bit tricky trying to figure it out. Fortunately, from the first day that I got there, I was greeted by a lady by the name of Tanya, and when I tell you that she is one of the most incredible employees anybody could ever ask for, I mean it 100-fold. I mean, she is so special. I could just go on a giant rant. But basically, as soon as I arrived, she greeted me with open arms and really became quite a mentor and teacher for me. I will always say this, it's so important to have people like this in your life, especially if you're a woman, having other women who are badasses. It's so important, not only builds your confidence, builds your mentality, shows you strength, and just really pushes you forward. So anyways, enough about her. She's amazing and great, but I was greeted by her, and together we kind of looked at the space and said, okay, what can we do to make this better? Originally, when we walked in, it had a two-way entry point, essentially the front door where guests can come in, and then a side door that comes in from their neighboring hotel. Off the rip, seeing that design, it was completely terrible. Basically, people could come in from both sides, meet in the middle, but the register was in the front, and it was just something that was extremely confusing for anyone coming in. Another thing that I noticed was the way that they had it set up. It was almost a wall going against their sidewall of equipment that was being used. And refrigerators are one of those things that in a cafe are used very frequently. So seeing the backs of these refrigerators or the backs of these tables was just completely ugly, and I was like, there's no way we can do something like this. Another thing that they had was in the very front, they had a mini freezer that was there, and there's no use for that. Even if you're selling stuff out of this freezer, that's just not the place to have it on display. So off the rip, we didn't like that, and we decided immediately, hey, we're going to change the layout. We did our best to clear all the boxes that we could and just mess with the spacing. And fortunately, we were able to, within the first day, clean that all up and come up with a general idea of having a straight wall in the very back, that would allow people to walk in and circle out at the same time and have that presentation be there of greeting, happy faces sort of thing. After we did that, the next thing was really painting walls before we start making everything else kind of come into play. My best friend, I will always say, is Pinterest. So we took to Pinterest and basically just did what we could with it. I had a whole mood board that I put together where I said, okay, I like this aspect, I like this aspect, this aspect, this aspect, but finalizing those colors was something that was pretty hard. We went to our local hardware store and literally I showed her my Pinterest board and she just kind of was like, that looks good. And we ended up getting those exact same colors of what was on that. So we had a couple different options, something bright and light, and eventually, since it was a place that had ice cream also involved, we decided to go with a really pretty pink and a really pretty green together. Granted that we were in Alaska, in hindsight, it was kind of funny because the pink that we chose was kind of a salmon color and the green was very foresty. Granted, where we are, it was kind of a funny and very very mix together. So I liked it a lot. We got the paint and started painting almost immediately. And we were trying to figure out what constraints did we have as we were revamping this place. It was kind of hard for me to tell because the primary owner was not necessarily in town. I mean, I could message him and say, hey, can I do this? Can I do this? But what I have learned, which I think it's funny, but not, I don't know, I'm gonna say it and you can choose to do what you want with it, but sometimes you need to do and then ask for forgiveness later, especially if you see a vision that you think is super crucial and important to move forward with, because not all people will understand where you're trying to go with this vision. And that's kind of the approach that we took. We painted the walls, we designed the different things, we had a podium built, we had a couple shelves put up, and just really started rolling with it. But as far as constraints were concerned, we weren't aware of what constraints we did have, but we did our best to just try to, boom, execute it the best that we could. Granted that, we may get a phone call soon. We were able to piece a lot of things together, but by the time it was time to open, which I would say was about 30 to 45 days after me getting there, it really wasn't done. I had the general scope of what I wanted as far as additions, but it was hard to get all that stuff kind of put together. The biggest constraint I can say, I won't say it's the same for everywhere in Alaska, but in this particular island in Alaska, is finding people who can do the work for you. Whether you're looking for electricians, you're looking for carpenters, you're looking for handymen, you're looking for any of these things, it's really hard to find, especially as the season is coming up, because everyone is so busy trying to start their business that it kind of falls, within the cracks. Granted that there's only a limited amount of people who can provide those services to, a lot of them are super busy. So I was able to work with what we had to, but this was kind of the final product of what it looked like on day one of us opening. We were able to finally successfully open, I think it was the end of April of last year, and once we did open, it wasn't by any means complete. What I did realize is that as much as you can work so hard to make sure that everything is perfect on your opening day, whether it's for your own business or someone else's business, there's always going to be things that you could probably do a little bit better or improve, and you realize that as time progresses. I already knew off the first day that I was not complete. There were a couple extra pieces that I did need done, particularly, as you'll probably see later on, my center frame that I used to pretty much block everything in the back that included greenery and lights. That was one of those things that on opening day, it looked so ugly in there. Or even creating systems after we were able to solidify our menu, figuring out, okay, where are we gonna put these different things? It's a note to any business owner that's out there, nothing is really complete, especially on your first day. Now, if you've opened multiple restaurants, maybe you have a better idea of what your flow is gonna look like. But for me, having worked in hundreds of restaurants, there was a vision that I had, but of course constraints that I also had, a deadline that I had to reach, and just the capacity of what I could do. So this was the final product for the first year, the final product of day one. But by the end of that year, there was so many more additions that I really look forward to talking to you guys a bit more on this channel about. Next week, I'd like to kind of talk about different design elements that were added in to make the place a lot better. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely hit that subscribe button. I do plan on being on this channel a little bit more often, and especially breaking down this whole business concept that I had that was in Alaska. So if there's different notes that you have that you're interested in, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. I look forward to talking more about this because this was quite a passion project for me. Alrighty guys, see y'all in the next video. Bye.